Do you know, like, one of the reasons I don't drink?
What is that?
It might be silly, right? It might be a silly thing, but still.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever think that they're death trophies? Like back in the day, yeah?
Yeah.
They would kill one of their enemies and make a drink after them,
Yeah.
and then they would say that that was the spirit of this person.
Oh,
Do you
I didn't know that.
not think about it though? Like Captain Morgan
Yeah.
was probably a captain of some sort, this, that, and the other. And then the blood of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You ever think that it's a bit more? You see, I have drunk, yeah, sure I have. But I just stopped because every time I drank it, I try to find it really difficult to understand why you'd call it a spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it looked like some sort of serial killers have little trophies, don't they?
Yeah.
Like they collect shoes or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, jewelry and stuff. Well, what about if you had a group that collected spirits to all the people plain in sight that they popped off, assassinated, or
Yeah.
do you ever?
They do in a way, don't they? Because they have pictures, usually photos of those people and stuff.
Yeah. And do you think it's like some sort of cult's little stack of spirits of all the, especially when we're looking at more Roman,
Yeah. Roman.
is it Roman Empire? They made a few spirits, didn't they? And a bit more before then, which I think was, and they'll say that perhaps it could be because something feels like it takes over your body. But then they would call drugs it too, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But they don't. But every time something happens, there's another spirit added to the collection.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird, isn't it? But that's the type of thing that, and then you're drinking that spirit, which they believe then in tribes, believe that if they eat somebody else in cannibalistic, they'd absorb the power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So they would eat their rivals, some of them, and they believed then that they would absorb the power of the cult or the tribe or this, that, and the other. But now it might be a little bit more PC in a way, where it now drink the spirit, the life juice, if you like.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes like a weird trophy that they pull out and celebrate at a certain time of the year for the anniversary of, and we absorb the power of that individual. You ever wonder that? I mean, weird, but again, it fascinates me in a way. It doesn't, because it's quite morbid
Yeah.
type of thought, but why else would you call it a spirit?
Yeah.
And I wonder if it comes from this tribes and different things like that. So weird, but just something. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that happen, isn't there,
Yeah.
in society that is a bit, why do we do that? Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Ritualistic. And is this why religions frown upon drinking spirit?
Yeah. Sounds like it. Yeah.
And then the blood of Christ being wine, is it again another one of those understandings that every time they see wine, we'll take it out at Christmas because you're supposed to have it with your meal, and what, around Easter? Is this like a celebrate the life, or is it the executing of an individual, and then each year we're going to absorb that power?
Didn't
And then it's plain in sight, you see.
didn't Christ make the wine?
But there again, how do you
for
know that's
others?
true?
It's a Bible.
Yeah, just because something's written and someone said something somewhere, it didn't come from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And again, I'm not knocking it and saying that it is true and it isn't true. I'm just saying that how do we know all of that that's there is true and is the gospel, so to speak, when, there can be parts that have been put in. We see it nowadays when someone does something and someone comes forward and claims something that they knew the person and this person did this, this and this. We don't know if all of those are true because not all of them have been investigated, those leads, but stays part of the furniture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because if any of those people did know, those people wouldn't have gone on to create heinous crimes in the first place. You know, hindsight, I guess.
Yeah. They would be careful about that.
But I just wondered if spirit was like this. You know, you take a spirit, someone that went against somebody else, and then, you know, they're going to take your life and then make you into a drink and then put you on a shelf and celebrate you every year at a certain time. Ritual. Maybe I'm reading too much in it, but where did it come from, spirit?
Maybe it started like that, and now it's just.
How do you know it's still not doing it like that, but it's just more covert?
Probably not in a factory somewhere, but other places maybe yes. I don't know.
And then it becomes like that sort of sick, weird shrine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but I'm going to leave this one here because it wandered on a bit, but